All right, so if you have been working along with me and doing your daily writing, sorry, holy cow. Don't worry, I only sneeze once in a row. We will be working on what I would add for this next event. I know lots of you are coming up with great stories. I encourage you to add more descriptive words. I encourage you to check for spelling, use the internet, ask a parent or a sibling, and then to read it out loud and get other people's idea about your story. So, for my third event, I wrote, about an hour into my broken sleep, I heard something rustling around outside my tent. Oh, sorry, I'm going to stop and go back. Um, Actually, I can't because I don't have my paper with me. Darn it. Usually I would read the paragraph that I wrote last week, but I don't have that. What I did write, and I will go from my memory, was that the kids and I had gotten ready for bed, and we were in our tents after hearing from the ranger that there might have been a bear in the area, but not in camp. And so this is my next paragraph. About an hour into my broken sleep, I heard something rustling around outside my tent. I gave a whispered warning to let the kids know that I could hear them and that they better get back to bed. As I waited to hear them in the direction of their tents, I got no response. The rustling continued, and I knew I would have to get up and walk them to their tents. As I unzipped my tent door, there was a strong smell of something rotten and dirty. As I stepped out of the tent and looked to my left, I saw the shape of a very large dog, about 3 feet tall. I turned on my lantern to get a better look, and boy, did I. All right. So I liked the way this was written. I didn't. My next paragraph, my fourth paragraph event that I write for tomorrow's paper, does talk about what it is. And I'm sure, since you know, because you can kind of guess, it is a bear. So I am going to stop right here for this paragraph, though, because my next one, I kind of want to leave you on a cliffhanger, and then I'm going to talk about the bear interaction in the next paragraph. So here we go. About, make sure you have your capitals. And I indented. Make sure you indent for your writing. About an hour into my broken sleep. I don't sleep well at camp because kids get up, go to the bathroom, ask for permission to go use the restroom, and I don't sleep well. But that's okay, it's worth it. I heard something rustling around outside my tent. Now, see, if this was not a realistic fiction, I could have made up like an alien or something there. But because it is realistic fiction, a realistic action story, I did, in fact, keep it to something that truly could be there. I gave a whispered warning to let the kids know that I could hear them. And then up here I didn't do this, but anyway, it says hear them and that they better get back to bed. Them. And I'm going to say back to their tents. And they better get back to their tents. So that would actually sound like, hey, you guys better get back to bed. So that's when I say a whispered warning. Like it's like stern, but a whispered. And at camp, you can hear all of that. So you don't even have to like say anything like, hey, you guys better get back to bed. You can still whisper and people can hear you because tent walls are just fabric. Good fabric, great fabric, but just fabric. All right, here we go. As I waited to hear, right here, as I waited to hear them head back. What? Back. I'm changing this part to their tents. As I waited to hear them head back to their tents, I noticed nothing. I noticed no sounds of movement. That's better. I like that better. I don't really like how he said head in the direction of their tents. I got no response. I get that, but I was really listening not necessarily for a response. I was really listening for the movement, so that's why I clarified that in my story. The wrestling continued. It said continued. And I'm going to say the wrestling continued outside my tent. And I knew I would have to get up and take them and make them. I don't really know how I would make somebody. I usually just ask them and I usually go. And make them go to their tents. Period. This part is the very descriptive part that I really enjoyed writing. As I unzipped, technically I could start a new paragraph here because I mean really when you think about it, as I unzipped I'm kind of starting the next section. So you know what, I am gonna add this as a new section. So not as a new section, but just as a new paragraph, sorry. As I unzipped my tent door, there was a strong smell of something rotten. And dirty. As I stepped outside my tent and looked to my left, I saw the shape of a very large dog. about 3 feet tall. I turned on my lantern to get a better look and boy did I get, and boy did I. Now I'm going to talk about what's going to happen next. So this is all I did for my story. I ended up making it 2 paragraphs for this event because I ended up breaking it up. Just thinking about how I wrote my paragraph. You can leave it as 1 or whatever you want to do. It really could be broken up because as I waited to hear, I noticed too, I might want to change this, and I'm not quite sure if I would. I have as I. So I might change that too when I do my final version. All right. Well, I am so glad you guys are enjoying your writing. I love hearing your stories.